The Cold Omaha Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to Procedurally Generated. I'm Henry Bell, and joining me today are Tom Schreier and Brandon Bwoling. Guys, how's it going?
I'm doing well. Playing a lot of Prey. This is the spoiler cast, right?
Not quite. You chomping at the bit now that you're actually getting to the meat of the story?
I want the 1/3 spoiler cast, just where I can.
1/3 spoiler cast.
Just want to discuss it the whole time.
I don't think that's how it works.
Should we just do like a spin-off podcast, like Fear the Walking Dead, where we just do speculation after every episode? We'll just do like every week that Tom has played Prey and his newest questions and theories.
No, we should do a live stream where before we go into every room, we just speculate on what's going to be in it and why it's there.
I really think it just should be Tom Understands Prey Now cast. It's really just for an audience of one.
No kidding. Well, that'll be coming down the road, but for today we actually have a little bit of news to discuss. Specifically, we're going to be covering Riot's announcement of the restructured North American League for League of Legends, a frame rate glitch on the PC port of Vanquish, the game that Brandon is going to be talking about, I'm sure, and also some changes in production on the Final Fantasy VII remake, as well as a whole lot more, which we'll get to a little bit later in the show. But before that, I want to get things started with what we've been playing this week. And you guys, I have been playing too much this week. Like, way too much. I definitely jumped back into the Quake Champions beta on Friday, like I said I was going to. Had a lot of fun. I will say that the player base is getting better, which is troublesome for me since I don't want to dedicate all my time to it. So I'm pretty eager for the actual launch when the majority of players will be new to the game and I can take advantage of it. I don't know if you guys have ever been there in an FPS.
Did Overwatch do that? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, Brandon and I at least got that in Overwatch because we both played in the beta. And then it launched at release, and we were just, I don't know about you, Brandon, but I was just dominating, like just crushing.
I feel like I played the beta and didn't get better and still got crushed in the beginning.
I don't remember, was there a console beta?
I think there was. I think it was shorter because I remember like you guys, I could completely misremember this too, but like I remember you guys talking about it and I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And then I saw it on my Xbox.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So, yeah.
Well, yeah. Go ahead, Brandon.
I was like, no, it wouldn't surprise me. A lot of those like big multiplayer games, they will do a beta out, and Blizzard like has the money for it, so I'm not surprised they did a multi-platform. I think it was a stress test, if I remember right. Which I guess
I think you're correct. If I remember right, they did one. Now that you're saying it, I think they did one stress test like 2 weeks before launch or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I played some more Quake Champions. The game is fun. I'm definitely going to be buying it, and I'll be buying the full-priced version so I don't have to deal with this microtransaction bullshit. To be honest, that's the thing that's bothering me the most, is that, like, I just wanted, in the beta in particular, I don't know why they were doing the microtransaction systems. Why make me rent characters in the beta? I'm playtesting your game. Give me access to all the characters so I can playtest them all. Like, it doesn't really make sense to me, especially since the store wasn't open yet. So it's not like you could buy the characters permanently even if you wanted to.
I mean, the one thing is maybe they're being kind of fair to the players and being like, look, you're not getting these for free anyways, so we're not going to pretend it's all free and then, piss you off when it actually comes out.
That's actually a pretty fair point. That's actually a very good point. I maintain that they should allow people to check out. This would be the opportunity for players to be able to check out all the characters for free and see which ones they actually want and if it's worth buying them. But that's a very good point. I can already see the Reddit thread in my head of like, look at this bait and switch. Like, oh my god, in the beta everything was free and now like it's $40 for the characters or whatever. So, that's actually a really good point. I hadn't really taken that into consideration. That said, I still would have liked to not have to basically grind at the beginning of every day to be able to unlock the daily champions I want.
To be fair, though, it's pretty interesting because they're probably testing that process out as well.
I mean, I guess. I think it's pretty shitty. I think it should be 24 hours of play time. I don't think it should be 24 hours of real life time. And even if they wanted to bump up the price, even if they doubled the price, frankly, I'd be okay with it if it was 24 hours of in-game time. But because it isn't, it just feels so like, it's so frustrating to me as a late-night gamer, playing after work and then getting up the next day and not being able to play. Now, that wasn't an issue over the weekend, obviously, because it was Memorial Day weekend and long weekend and all that, and I was off. But it's still just annoying. Basically, it was to the point where I would rent my Scalebound, or Scalebearer, the one champion that I really like, and then I would just save up all my points, and then right before I went to bed, I would rent a couple characters for 24 hours, so I could play them a tiny bit that day, and then could play them in the morning still, and maximize that way I could basically play them for a full 24 hours. It's just weird having to plan my character rentals around my sleep schedule because it's tied to real life time. I don't like video games in general that tie things to real life time. I think that they are pointlessly slowed down, usually as a way to get more money.
There's only one game where I let that slide, and that was Burnout Paradise. You had an option to set the day and night cycle to 24-hour time listed in your time zone. Keyword
option.
Yeah.
Because if you were someone who got off work every single day at 8 got home from work at 8 p.m., they still gave you the ability to not only be able to play the game in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the things that annoys me kind of about the newer Pokemon games too, is that they're like tied to your clock. Sun and Moon were particularly stupid because Pokemon Moon has a 12-hour time difference from Pokemon Sun. Like, it's just offset 12 hours, so during the day it's nighttime and during the night it's daytime in the game. It's really weird. I don't like it. And in all games that do that, from Animal Crossing to whatever, I find a way to break the time system because I think it's horseshit. Obviously, that's not going to be an option with Quake Champions, but just saying, I really don't... I appreciate that the rental system is there, but for the beta, I did not enjoy the mechanic. At very least, let me rent the characters for a little longer, or make the prices cheaper during the beta, something. Give me more points during the beta.
So one question I have, though, is like, I like Overwatch, and not to get into a sidebar here, but I like Overwatch's new system where they force you to kind of play new characters 3-on-3. Like, if you win as a team with 3 characters, no one can choose those 3. Could you have a system with this where you make a certain selection of characters free, like for a month, let's say, and it's like, I don't know how many characters there are, so this number might not be correct.
I think there's 6 or 7.
Oh, there's not that many.
Maybe 8.
That wouldn't work. That sucks.
I think they're doing a one free. I think what they're doing is one free champion a week rotation or something like that.
Okay, yeah. But, I mean, I just, the one thing I think is like, this is going to discourage, people that kind of mess around with it, because they're going to be like, well, I want my one free guy, and you may never play as a character because you don't want to rent him or whatever.
That's what I'm saying. There are multiple games I've played in, like indie games and stuff, that have like gun rentals, first-person shooters, where it's like, oh, you can get this sweet pistol for 24 hours. And anytime I see that like an item is tied to time, I just uninstall. It's just not worth my time. Now, in this case, because I want to be very clear here, it's only in the beta that this annoys me, because there's no option for me to just outright purchase. For Christ's sake, I wish I could at least like pre-purchase or something. Like, let me give you money so that I can play the full game, because I want to try the full game to see if I like the full game. Like, that's all. It just feels like I'm being forced to play the worst version of the game for not a great reason, since it's free for everyone to play right now anyways.
It seems like a dumb thing for them to do.
It just seems odd. That said, I did enjoy it. It's like I said, it's getting a lot more difficult now that everyone's skilling up, but I'm getting better too, which is always fun. I really like Quake in that it is definitely scratching a totally different itch from something like Overwatch, or even something like Titanfall, where Titanfall is, very fast-paced modern military style. Quake is very fast, but none of the modern military trappings, like power-up, the traditional power-ups, health and armor, and quad damage, but that's it. You're not getting, like, smart pistols or any of the fancy bells and whistles. It's just, very basic first-person shooting mechanics, which I really enjoy, but then at the same time, it's much more hardcore than something like Overwatch, where skill is vitally important. There aren't certain characters that are there are characters that are easier or harder to play, but there aren't characters that literally anyone can play type thing in the same sense as Overwatch, where you could be the worst player in the world as long as you're good at holding down left click and playing Mercy.
What is that? I'm trying to remember. What's the game with the monster and then like the 4 players that try to take it down?
Evolve. Yeah.
Is this kind of like Evolve? Like, I feel like those characters, maybe they're more different than I thought, but
it's
like
not at all like Evolve.
No. I'm not asking if the gameplay is. I'm just saying, is it kind of like a cosmetic thing? I mean, is it that similar, or is Evolve?
No, the characters are pretty different in this. Like, the characters in Quake Champions each have unique... We talked about this a little bit last week, I believe, but the characters in Quake Champions all have unique health, top speed, armor... health, top speed, and armor ratings, as well as also... at least 1, sometimes 2 passive abilities unique to that character, as well as 1 active ability unique to that character. So they're pretty different.
Okay.
Does that answer your question? Sorry, I wasn't. The Evolve thing kind of threw me off a little bit.
Yeah, I was trying to think of an example, and that probably wasn't a great one.
Did you just mean, does it have like classes?
No, I just meant, is it like a cosmetic difference? You were talking about it versus Overwatch, and these just seem like 2 completely different games.
They're very different, yeah. But the different classes are very varied, similar to Overwatch. I would say a little less so than Overwatch for obvious reasons, because they're all first-person shooter classes, But still, it's really cool. I really liked the beta. I'm going to be getting the game when it comes out, and I'm excited to talk more about it, at least in the next beta or something, because I'm hoping that they're going to be making some changes to some of the balance and netcode stuff. I will say netcode seemed more stable, but that's anecdotal. That was just in my experience. I did not have any outright disconnects this time, and a lot less rubber banding, so that's something at least.
Yeah. Start as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when you consider like how the not Halo, but rather Doom multiplayer beta went. Like, it's nice to see another much beloved classic multiplayer first-person shooter getting a little bit of love for its multiplayer beta.
Yeah. That's always a plus.
That's pretty much all I have to say about Quake Champions. Brandon, you want to talk about something you played for a little bit here?
Yeah. I just was on a racing switch all week, and I started off with this one indie game that's literally been sitting in my library for a year called Distance. Distance is this indie racing game that is coined as survival racing, which is effectively a fancy way of saying you're doing a bunch of time trials on a bunch of different maps where you have to dodge a bunch of things on the track.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the main thing about this game is, first of all, the gameplay is great, and it has the dankest beats ever. So it kind of has like this Tron-esque kind of vibe to it. And the self of the game is that there's a lot of things, like they do a really good job of adding a lot of variety to effectively one type of racing style, because they say, oh, you have adventure mode and time trial, but you're basically doing time trial. They just slapped adventure in front of it.
I hate it when games do that, racing games in particular. It drives me crazy.
Yeah, but it's still fun as all hell. Like, it's surprising what they've done, because typically when you think of like dodging obstacles, you're like, okay, there's some things in the road, but they've done it in such a way that like you have it ranges to like debris in the road, like your pretty standard fare, to things kind of jumping out at you. It also ranges from like just turning off gravity, and then your car has these various abilities to like help them. So for example, sometimes the track will just not exist anymore, so you can have the ability to fly whenever you want, whether the track's there. What? Unless like there is an area effect that's usually called the infected zone that like disable your flying ability. There's also an ability where you have to drive in 0G, which if you're doing like anything that has dips or curves, you'll just float off the track. So the car literally has like an actual like space ABS system, so it can literally control itself for compressed air while it's driving. So I'll be doing loop-to-loops in zero gravity and literally be holding a button, and you just see jets just like blowing out of the top of the car to keep the car like on the freaking road. It's freaking nuts. Kerbal
Space Program shit.
Yeah, and like sometimes the track will be like, okay, you're on a track, okay, now just turn 90 degrees. Like, and it's not a curve, it's like the track ends and there's another track 90 degrees right next to it, so you have to jump. You have a jump
That's
option.
Cool.
and then you have to rotate the car with your ABS, and then land while dodging like moving lasers that cut your car in half. And don't worry, if you do get cut in half, you can still drive because there's checkpoints that regenerate your car.
What the hell even is this game? Is this you alone on the track? Are there other race cars?
No, but it's a singular experience. There's leaderboards, but it's just you on the track, and I'm kind of happy about that because there's at one point I was doing a race. I had my cousin watching me while playing it, and my cousin will typically watch for 5 minutes and fall asleep. I did one track, and he's like literally sitting at the edge of the seat, just like, oh my gosh, oh my god, you made it. Which is like impressive because it is just a time trial, but they've added so much like versatility to like the obstacles that you have to do, that you have to like pass through, that it actually makes it kind of fun and varied experience. Another thing that really gave this game some long legs, aside from the fact that it's still in early access, is the fact that they have a package out where you can just generate your own tracks. So I actually, for the first time, downloaded a track that was based off of a Limbo theme. That game I talked about a couple months ago.
That's cool. Like, so it's like a track editor, like outside of the game.
Yep, and it has a bunch of assets. Like I played the game, and it really did feel like I was in Limbo. And the end of the race really felt like I was in Limbo. And I'm like, oh snap, this is actually really good. I didn't think you could like extrapolate the experience of Limbo in a time trial racing game.
That's cool. That's like some Mario Maker shit.
Yeah, and then hell, you can even do Sonic maps in this game, where instead of having like boost pads, like they're just the rings that you have to collect. So you get like boost power from collecting rings, and you still have the loop-de-loops and everything. And I'm just like, oh, this is pretty cool.
That sounds like a really interesting, fun game. You said it's still in early access, but you've had it for like a year. Do you know how far along in development it is?
It's kind of weird because I feel like it's one of those games that kind of plays like DayZ, where it's like, oh, we're probably always going to be in early access, but we really, really like this game, so we're always going to be producing content for it. And I was actually initially against the wall for purchasing it, but I think I got it in a Humble Bundle last year and completely forgot about it. Then when I install it, I was like, oh. Another thing, too, is that the game is miraculously... I feel like this game can run on a potato, really. It was under a gig, and I don't think it's very... taxing, even in higher settings.
Is it good looking?
Yeah, it's not the best looking game. It's not a Forza by any stretch of the word, but the theme and the graphics suit each other very well. So you have very sharp edges and stuff, and it does seem relatively cartoony and a little cloudy. But I feel like that's the theme that they were going for, and it actually suits the game very well. Cool. Because we're not going for hyper realistic. We're going for like Tron-esque science.
Right.
So it's
going to be a theme for you today, isn't it? Tron-esque racing games.
Yeah. Well,
we'll get to that.
Yeah, but I think it's pretty good. I think it was $20 on Steam. If you're into it, if you're into racing games and time trials, this is a very good, fun, varied game. It's hard for me to suggest anything in early access, really, because sometimes it can be great and then all of a sudden go downhill at any moment. I've seen in a couple of cases. But I'm enjoying it, and if you see it on a sale, like definitely go for it. I think.
Sweet. How much is it?
I think it's $20 now on Steam. I don't have my Steam up, but the last time I checked, it was $20.
Sure.
Two quick questions. What is, and I apologize if you said this, what is on display on the car? Like I'm looking at a screenshot.
Okay, so the car kind of looks like a DeLorean and a Lamborghini had like great love with each other and then morphed out this thing. So the back of the car is like slanted. Your HUD is actually enclosed on the rear on the rear window. So so you have in the rear window and the lights. So at the back, the lights, there's a light bar that shows how much heat you're generating from your boost, because you're always boosting nitrous in this game. You also have a kind of circle thing that's actually a compass that helps you understand where your orientation is when you're in zero gravity.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which is kind of important because like the races can get pretty hairy, and when you're driving in zero gravity, you will forget what orientation you're on.
That's
you might be driving on
awesome.
Yeah, because I didn't realize I'd been driving on a wall for like 3/4 of the race until I realized I had accrued a mad points for wall riding, and I'm like, oh, I did that.
It kind of looks like racing cell phones.
It's an odd game because survival racing is not like a thing, but that's kind of what you're doing. It's kind of survival racing is not a genre. It's a time trial game that has survival elements in the tracks because you have to survive all of the content that they're throwing at you in order to get the fastest time. Because if you crash or if you get damaged, you just slow down. And the whole goal ultimately is to get the fastest time and to move on to the next map.
Kind of reminds me of like
ultimately is the user-generated maps, I think.
Yeah, that does seem like the coolest thing. Like honestly, does it have Steam Workshop support?
Yes, that's actually the only reason why I did it was because it was literally one click and restart the game.
That is cool.
Any other questions?
One other question. So I see some lady like playing the game on kind of like a traditional console, like arcade console, kind of like you'd see with like Cruis'n USA or whatever. Do you know anything about this? Like it just seems weird that an early access game would be, maybe it's just for special events or whatever, but is there any like arcade presence of this, or like, does it offer you to...
I heard inklings that it was on the PlayStation Store.
Okay.
Which is weird because it is definitely an early access. But the game overall is completed. Which is weird. They just kind of keep on tacking on things to their adventure mode and keep on throwing out more assets.
I'm sorry, just really quick interjection. Yes, they are working on a distance arcade cabinet.
Yep, and I see PlayStation.
But it looks like it may be just a personal design.
Oh, because I'm seeing it at like a trade show or something. It was PAX, I think.
Yeah, it was definitely played on PlayStation 4, but there's no official release date.
Yeah,
that's sweet.
It's pretty interesting. But yeah, that's really cool. I'm into that. Honestly, the idea of mods in a racing game really has me intrigued. Do they have like car mods and stuff too, or is it just the tracks?
You can't customize the car's like abilities or its performance, but you can fully customize the color scheme and even tack on some like seasonal stuff to the body.
Can I put a spoiler on this glorified toaster?
I haven't tried, but there might be a way to do it.
This oddly symmetrical looking car.
Although I would be hesitant to do so because a spoiler might...
Oh, I'm aware of the absurdity. I stand by my request.
To be fair, though, I kind of should be there because honestly, this game is so off the wall. Like, actually. It's actually on the wall now that I think about it. It's very on the wall.
All right. I'm going to cut you off there because that was just too bad. We're going to go out on that one for this discussion.
Hey, that was a good pun.
It was not the worst one I've ever heard. But there's another game that I'm not super proud about that I want to share with you guys that I've been playing this week. Actually, quite a bit of. That is Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. That's right. I bought a Dragon Ball Z game. I
don't really see any problems there.
Well, I'm not a huge Dragon Ball Z fan. I mean, I watched it when I was a kid, but I haven't caught up with... I haven't watched any episodes of, like, Dragon Ball Super or anything like that. And, Brandon, you know me. Like, I'm more of a fair-weather anime fan than, like, a real, like, into anime kind of guy. And so...
To be fair, like, I don't really watch it either. I feel like after the Cell Saga, I was like, all right, this is over.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so... But I do love the original series. I mean, I was a big fan when I was like in, middle school, high school. And so...
Yeah, old days.
Exactly. And so, I saw it on sale. It was $25 over the weekend. And I thought, this game is pretty new. That's a pretty good price. I was always curious about the first Xenoverse. And god dang, if I don't want to just fly around in a battlefield. And also maybe like go Super Saiyan and throw some Kamehamehas. So I decided to pick it up. And it's actually... it is what it is. It definitely has some pretty obvious shortcomings and stuff, but like technically, but for what it is, it's actually a very fun Dragon Ball Z game. I'd probably say it's the best of the Dragon Ball Z games I've played.
How does it have technical shortcomings? Isn't it a cartoon?
No, it's a video game.
Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. You realize what podcast you're on, right?
Well, no, I know, but I'm saying like...
Tom, do you smell burning toast? You guys, Tom's stroking out. Sorry, what's up?
I'm just saying,
burnt toast is a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Listen, let's focus, you guys. Let's focus.
I'm
like, oh.
Oh God. No. So I mean, this game is. I'm trying to look up graphics of it, but it seems like it would be cartoon based. Like, how does it not run well?
It does run. It runs fine. I said it has some technical shortcomings. I didn't say it runs poorly. It runs fantastically, actually. I don't think I've had any frame drops at all. It runs at like 150 frames per second. But it's got very simple kind of looking graphics. The physics are god-awful, if not non-existent. Like capes. Oh my god. The capes look like they're just like someone just like starched the shit out of them and then like put them on hinges on your shoulders. It's like
you are playing a Dragon Ball Z game.
Yeah, but listen, I wanted my Piccolo cape to look cool, and it just looks like it looks like I don't even know. It looks like it's a solid piece of wood that I painted white or something. It's hilarious.
To be fair, it was a solid piece of steel in the anime.
Listen, Brandon, his cape flowed in the anime. Don't give me that. I don't want to hear it. Point being, yeah, it does have some technical shortcomings, just stuff that like you kind of would expect to see in a game from 2017. But, honestly, I don't really care. I picked it up for fan service. I picked it up because you get to make your own character in this one. I got to make a Saiyan. His name is Henry because I'm original. Yeah. Like, I'm going to learn how to go Super Saiyan. I have, yeah, right? I'm going to learn how to go Super Saiyan. I can do Kaioken right now. I have Kamehameha, Gallic Gun, like all kinds of classic, moves from Dragon Ball Z. I've gotten to play through a bunch of the Frieza saga so far. I just finished, like, doing all the Captain Ginyu quests, which was a lot of fun. And, the story isn't great. It's, like, weird, like, time patroller thing where, like, these bad guys that I don't know from Dragon Ball Z, it's like these two robot people who like program guys, and then a bunch of villains from I think the movies. Like I don't know who Slug is or who like Turles is or any of these people, but apparently they're like evil Goku and Piccolo. I don't really get it, but I don't really care. Punching them is just as fun as punching anybody else. Like this is a game where you get into a battlefield and you're immediately in an 8-directional movement. Like you can fly all the time. There's no limits on it. You can fly faster if you have stamina. You can go Super Saiyan. You can use energy blasts. You can punch people in the face with different kinds of basic but satisfying combos. And then you even have like specials and ultimates and stuff like, the classic stuff from the show. And it's a total blast. It's got RPG elements, tons of collectible clothes and stuff from the show. The voice acting is not terrible in the parts that are voice acted. And overall, I don't hate it. I think it's probably the game I played second most this week.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just it was a great game to come home after a long day of work and just relax and unwind to playing, Sometimes you don't want to have to think or try that hard. You just want to goof around and shoot Kamehamehas at Frieza in the face.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I played a good amount of Xenoverse 2, and surprisingly, I think I would recommend this game if you can pick it up on sale. If you can get it for $20-$25 and you've ever been a fan of Dragon Ball Z, I don't think you'd necessarily regret it. As long as you'd be willing to spend a couple hours with it, I think it's worth it. It's fun. Also, it's very online, so if you're into that, there's that as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's got all kinds of co-op. Like, all the quests can be done co-op. You can do battles, and they even have, like, group events and stuff. So, yeah, it's kind of neat. It's something worth checking out.
game with little legs.
Yeah, exactly. Next up, I want to throw to Tom, because poor Tom, I'm sure, did actually play some video games this week. So, Tom, tell us about one of your usual suspects.
Yeah, Overwatch. So I know I talk about it a lot.
I can't believe it. You played Overwatch? No way.
I'm sorry, I love Overwatch, and I do love Overwatch.
How dare you?
You're so cool. You're so posh, man.
Shout out to Blizzard. A couple weeks ago, you guys were complaining that I wasn't buying new games. I said I need more content from Overwatch, and Blizzard delivered.
Anniversary. You got all kinds of shit.
Yeah, so we talked about the Anniversary Edition and kind of what was included there, the dances and all that stuff. I will say, just having played the 3v3 levels, and that's my main mode. Like, it's the one I like best. It's also easiest to play with friends because it's hard to fill out thick.
Do you guys remember, Brandon? You remember when Tom first tried 3v3 and he couldn't stand it?
I did not like it.
He hated it, and I was like, "No, it's the best mode." And you're like, "You're wrong, Henry."
I was wrong, and I'm ashamed to admit I was incorrect once on this podcast.
Oh my god! I'm saving this recording for later.
But anyways,
keep on digging that grave, my friend. Just keep on.
I do actually like straight up 6v6, but as someone who's been converted fully to 3v3, my chief complaint was that there was one level that you could play on, and that they really should.
And it's a boring looking snow level. Like, good God, I hate snow levels in video games. They're visually unappealing.
As a good Minnesotan, I don't mind a little snow, but I was getting a little sick of it. It also it went with this theme of May or whatever, and like the snowball fight, and then kind of seemed out of place.
Yeah, because remember 3v3 was like part of the winter event. Yeah,
right. So like I said, I've been playing this mode a lot. I would say 2 of the levels I like a lot. I really like the Necropolis, which is like there's probably an actual thing called a necropolis.
But a necropolis is like a ziggurat or a temple to the dead. It's a grave.
So yeah, you
can imagine a city of ghouls in Fallout, depending on which game you played.
Yes, that as well.
So this one's set in the hills. There's palm trees. There's obviously these graves, which are cool. A lot of fun, like sniping.
Wait, there was palm trees and graves?
I'm assuming these little huts are graves. I don't know.
Can I clarify really quick? I just want to be clear. Apparently, a necropolis is a large designed cemetery with elaborate tomb monuments. So while I was technically correct in my definition, it was not quite broad enough. Because a very large graveyard would be a necropolis, I guess, as long as it's like designed with elaborate monuments.
It's a really cool setting for this. There's a lot of fun, like sniping zones. It's fun to be Farah and just like fly around and shoot bombs. I mean, I understand this is probably like offensive to someone, but like it is fun to shoot people in the graveyard
versus rolling in their grave.
Right. But no, it's a super well laid out, really aesthetically pleasing, really fun setting. The other one I really like, the Black Forest. I think it's Eichenwald. It's like a German town that they added late in the game. The Black Forest is supposedly right outside of, so it's not like a carved out part of that level. It's separate, but right outside it. And I don't know. I really like that. Again, maybe going back. I guess I'm Austrian, not German, but like it's going back to my Austrian roots. It's I don't know. There's something that I really like about kind of that European feel.
Sure.
I'm like my ancestors were. But
that is such a weird answer. Ancestors.
That was a yes or no question.
Are you American, Tom? I know your ancestors were, but I'm wondering about you.
It reminds me of the time I got asked if I was an American, and I feel like when I was asked, my whole life flashed in front of my eyes, and it was like in the background, and I'm proud to be an American.
Jesus Christ.
And I just kind of blinked back to reality. I'm like, yes.
Wipes a tear from his brow.
Quick sidebar. One of the Twins players, so Trevor May's teammate, just became a legal American and played that song as his walk-up music. I thought it was really funny.
Nice.
That's super dope.
But anyways, as a good Austrian, I enjoyed the Black Forest. There's fun little places you can kind of hide in and jump out at people. And at the same time, like if you are a sniper, you can get on those roofs and decks and shoot me in my dome.
Tom's a Hanzo main. You heard it here first, guys.
The Castillo, I think, is
Wow, Tom! Wow, you would.
What?
Nothing. I just wanted to see if I could freak you out. That's how you pronounce it.
God damn it! But anyways, so this I like the setting. I don't know why they put a whole bunch of graffiti in it. Like I don't. It'd be fun every once in a while to see that, but I feel like it'd be better without it. Have you guys played this level and know what I'm talking about?
No. Let me take a quick look, though, because isn't it supposed to be set in like a little Mexican village?
I think so, and it's like the actual architecture is really cool. It's a lot of corridors, so where the Black Forest, you can kind of hide in certain areas. It's pretty wide open, and I'd say Necropolis for sure is. This is more like there is a central plaza that, like, obviously if you're an idiot like me, you'd run around and then have like Anna or one of the other characters
put you to sleep,
put a bullet in your dome. But
Anna doesn't have bullets. Darts. Come on, they're tranquilizers.
Oh yeah, she's got her little like dirty needles.
They're like syringes.
Whatever,
yeah, dirty. Really, Tom? They're dirty needles. Is that what they are? She's shooting dirty needles with
really
her special passive effect, tetanus.
I was really gonna go there.
It's like,
oh god,
every character in Overwatch is slowly dying, curling up the top.
Yeah, no kidding. It's just like,
God.
All right.
Anyways, my point being is like it's a really cool setting. It's right on the water. There are some hills. You have really cool architecture. I just don't know why they included all this graffiti. Like it's the weirdest thing to me. And maybe I don't know why.
It's probably part of the world building. Like I bet if you knew like a little bit more about the setting, because all the maps are like major locations in the history of like the Omnic War and like the formation and disbanding and reformation of Overwatch. So I want to say it's probably tied to characters. Because like, didn't we originally find out about Sombra via graffiti? Wasn't it like spray painted Sombra lives on walls and stuff?
Yeah. No, and this just seems overdone. I shouldn't say I want it all removed. I think I'm just a good, citizen.
Good Lord, you're just an old man. God.
I am being an old man. I'm an old man Overwatch.
Somebody get a goddamn power washer out here. I can't see the original adobo.
Can you imagine? I'm not actually focused on shooting the other characters. I'm just
looking at that adobe.
Tom's just like walking up to each piece of graffiti and just shaking his head and going,
damn kids.
Back in my day, we'd wash this off the walls and we'd call it a good time.
It's opposite of Splatoon. It's I don't know, Clean Tune or something. But
oh god,
Clean what?
You could call it the thing Splatoon was based on, Mario Sunshine.
Sunshine.
The game where you clean up paint with the water gun.
I remember that.
Jeez, Tom, you are on fire today.
Anyways, I like that they added new ones, and I'm hearing myself a little bit, but I like that they added 3 new 3v3 levels, and it's one of my favorite modes. And I also like that you can't play, as I alluded to earlier, you can't play as, so if you win a game, it's obviously best of 5. If you win a game, you can't play as those 3 characters again.
Oh,
and I think it's cool.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Blackout or something, and it's I don't know, it kind of forces you to have some versatility, and it
I guess.
I mean, it does. It takes away
honestly,
a little bit.
That actually kind of bothers me a bit. I mean, maybe I'll have to try it for myself, but like, I don't care if you want to use the same characters. It should be who's best, not who's best with the most characters.
Yeah, and it does take away from some of the cat and mouse aspect.
I guess they were probably trying to prevent like Roadhog, Soldier 76, Pharah teams every single time.
Yeah, although like I know how to beat that, right? I mean,
that's the thing, is the whole game is built around counters and stuff, and if they can't pick it twice in a row, you literally can't counter pick them. You have no way of knowing who they're going to be every round.
Yeah, so what I should say is I would prefer that they keep this mode in some capacity, like it's an option.
You know what I would like? How about if after each round the losing team gets to ban one champion for the next round?
Yeah, I mean, even that. No, I think that would be super fun. Any of that cat and mouse stuff, I really enjoy. The 1v1 is kind of similar, where you get like 3 characters to choose from. So you could end up with the same one, or you could end up with 2 different ones.
Right.
And it does become. You have to kind of think through, like, okay, if I choose 76, can they counter easily with one of the other characters available? Again, not perfect, but I think it's a fun shakeup.
Did they change? I thought 1v1 was like mirror matchups.
Yeah, I think it was, and this is more...
Have they changed that now? Now is this a separate game mode from Duel?
No, I think it is like the Duel for this like little time period or whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I kind of like it because...
Oh, I hated Duel before. I thought it was real stupid because I'd like get randomed into Widowmaker and be like, well, I guess I lose this round.
Right. No. So in this case, it'd be like, okay, you could have Soldier, and they try to set it up so there's not an exact counter, but it's like you can have Soldier, you can have Widowmaker, and let's say you can have Riza or something, and you just have to think through, okay, can I as Widowmaker take out 76 easier?
All I know is I'd be rage quitting because I got Orisa in a fucking 1v1.
Riza was a bad example.
God, what a garbage character! Just the worst character in the game.
I like her ability to shoot a shield out, but I guess Pharah kind of does that too.
Half the fucking characters in the game shoot a shield out. What are you talking about?
Can you place one? Which other one can like place it remotely?
Okay, fair enough. Wait, how about Winston?
True.
You know, his like main shield.
I don't play with her much, to be honest.
I don't see her played like at all. Hey, I like Sombra too, but that's not what we're talking about. Like, I don't...
No, I'm just trying to think. They've done well with the additions. This is probably
like I said, Orisa is the worst character in Overwatch. That doesn't say I'm not downplaying how good a lot of the other characters are by any means. I mean, she's the most underwhelming addition since Ana. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and even a good Ana is fun to play with.
Like, exactly. Ana's at least interesting. Orisa just feels like a jack of all trades, master of none, and it's just not worth it. Like, I'd rather just have two people doing dedicated roles than like one Orisa and an extra DPS or something.
Sure, right.
Anyways, anything else about the new modes here?
No, I'm just glad they shook it up a little bit. A, because frankly, I like to not buy new things and talk about things on the show. And B, in all seriousness, this is, I mean, I think hands down my favorite game right now, and I like that. I feel like I'm rewarded for putting time in because they're consistently improving upon it.
Definitely, and look forward to a truly original map that's going to be coming out soon. It just hit the PTRs today, I believe. It's a new space-themed map.
Yeah, literally. I mean, I don't know when it's actually on the servers, but you can go.
It's on the PTR. It's not on the actual live servers yet.
Okay, yeah, the Overwatch. I'm just like, Kotaku. I'm looking at the article they threw up, and it's a sweet looking map. They're really doing a good job with these, I think.
Indeed.
Cool.
But we will have to talk about that once it releases. Before then, though, Brandon, I know you played some more stuff you really want to talk about, specifically stuff that's nothing like Distance, right?
Yeah.
Right?
So
right?
There's this other game I played. So I was on this racing Switch, and I picked up this other early access game called Grip, which is, in fact, nothing like Distance.
Oh, thank God. It's just
Grip,
another early access racing game.
Yeah, it is another ery access racing game.
Nothing like Distance. Nothing.
Yeah, well, there's that.
Just the main thing.
There's a paradox here. I can smell it.
It's all good. Go on.
So Grip is, if any of you guys remember from way back in the day.
Oh, I remember
kind
Grip.
Of like a Roll Cage remake.
Oh,
so
never
Roll
mind.
Cage, I think Roll Cage was an arcade game where the whole unique theme was your car can just roll around walls. So any tubular environment you were in, you could roll around and you can fall down completely on your back and keep driving because your wheels were just wider than your body.
Tubular!
So it was freaking awesome. I remember playing that game and then getting crazy ideas for how I would do tricks in SSX Tricky, which was like this weird thing I did when I was young. I was a weird kid. So they did this remake called Grip. So basically it's a high-definition version of Roll Cage, which is a good thing because Roll Cage was fun. Its difficulty, I used to always laugh, is kind of like Mario Kart level of difficulty because the weapons that they give you, because you have fighting arena style vehicular combat, and you have races with weapons and stuff. Like you could be in first place and you can get knocked out by a homing missile because they always find you and it'll rip you up hard if you're not ready.
Damn, Grip does look just like Roll Cage. That's crazy.
It is.
Also, What is it with racing games and weird one-word titles that only vaguely have to do with racing?
Was it Grip?
Distance.
Ridge Racer.
Red Out.
No, it's 2 words. Red Out.
What's the other one that you're going to be talking about?
Thumper, but that's not a racing game.
Thumper is a racing game.
No, it's not. You're not racing against anybody, and there's no time limit.
Thumper is a racing game.
No, it's not.
Anyways, seriously.
But anyway, let me get back to this.
It's a game where you control a vehicle on a fixed course. It's a racing game.
It's not really a vehicle. It's
stop.
A lady.
Just stop.
I'll talk about it later. Anyway, Grip. So effectively, there's not really much to it. It's still in early access. They've done major modifications over the last 2 months. They've added a lot of content, extra cars, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. They're still working on the physics. The maps look great. I have to say the maps look really cool, and there's a lot of variation in it. They've done the whole concept of riding on walls really well, and even using the fact that you can completely flip your car 180 degrees to your advantage because you can almost dodge missiles while doing it, which is super cool. They have bars on the map that are kind of very mini ramps that are designed for one set of wheels that flip your car.
kind of
and hit another axis to drive, which is super cool.
That is cool. That makes me think of like San Andreas driving school.
Yeah, it's kind of like, remember how you saw like the maps where the wall riding thing in GTA 5 was like a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a bunch of YouTube. So they have that concept where, you know, they had the setup where it'll basically roll your car so that you can jump onto the wall and then wall ride it at speed. It's that same concept, except without like an immediate wall next to you and not like an actual like extreme object. It's just like a little bar sticking out of the ground. Kind of looks like a rattlesnake if you're like in the railroad tracks and stuff.
That's cool.
It's fun. It's basic though. That's another thing. It's a basic arcade racer. So you have your tier race, your race with weapons, your arena racer, and like basically like Carmageddon, like where you're just in there to just beat the crap out of everybody.
Like a Destruction Derby or
like kind of Destruction Derby.
Okay.
And that's all cool. I mean, it fits. It kind of fits in the same note as the original Roll Cage series. So it is just like a very high-res, updated version of it. The physics, again, still need work.
You keep saying that. What does that mean in a racing game?
Well, since you're constantly flying through the air, sometimes, like, if you get hit by a missile, usually you slow down or you get blown to the side. I've gotten hit by a missile, and I've literally jumped halfway across the track. And I'm like, wait, what the hell's going on? I didn't get hit that hard.
Okay, that's
also,
a great
some
example.
Of the air
Point taken.
In the air don't exactly make sense. Like, I'm not asking for, like, you know, peer-to-peer real life, but I am asking for some basics.
Fair enough.
Like, when I jump, I want to go down and have some control, you know, things like that. They're hashing out all those details, but it's still really fun. If you want a hint of nostalgia, it's $15. Like, it's not. Think of it this way: if you're disappointed, you won't be that disappointed. It's $15, and if you played the original, you'll be impressed and actually rather satisfied. So nice. I would say that's a pretty good purchase.
Cool. Well, awesome. Well, I think that we are halfway through the show already, and while we are going to be coming back to talk about some more games we've been playing, we do need to take just a quick break here. But don't go anywhere, because we're going to be right back with more games that we've been playing and the news. And we're back. All right, so back to the games we've been playing this week. I wanted to talk a little bit about Street Fighter II Ultimate, which I can't remember. Did we talk about this last week, or is this...
We did a smidge last week.
Just a little bit.
A smidge.
Okay, so Street Fighter...
Yeah, because extra characters, Akuma, you played as Akuma, right?
Yes, well, I did. I played as Akuma, one of my favorite characters. I also... they also added in 2 more characters to the roster. So let's just pretend I didn't talk about it, because I have no recollection of that discussion. And just say, you guys know what... You all know it.
So good, it blew the memories away from my mind.
Exactly. It's just... it's all blur. It's all a blur. So Street Fighter II, you guys all know it. It's arguably the greatest fighting game of all time. In my opinion, it is the greatest fighting game of all time. This is Street Fighter II Ultimate, what is it? Street Fighter II Ultimate, or Super, the Ultimate Fighters, or something like that. It's the Switch version. It's ridiculous. It's some crazy... It's like the 6th re-release of this game at this point, so they're just tacking on subtitles. But it's a lot of fun. It's, as far as I can tell, the best version of Street Fighter II that I've ever played. It's super responsive. They have updated graphics. They're all like kind of hand-drawn, like HD. It looks really good. It's got an expanded character roster, as Brandon alluded to. You can play as Akuma, which you've been able to do for a while in like some of the later versions. But you can also now play as Violent Ken and Evil Ryu, which is interesting. Which are basically Ken and Ryu with like slightly modified movesets. They have some additional specials and stuff, but they're not like... They just play slightly differently. They don't seem to be overpowered from what I can tell. That said, Street Fighter II hasn't... I don't know that it's the most balanced fighting game ever made. It's considering its age and stuff. I don't know how much balancing they've done over time. I doubt a ton. But yeah, it's a ton of fun to play just through the old arcade mode. Although I will say, for God's sakes, arcade mode balancing, we get it. This was a hardcore fighting game back in the day. I just want to be able to beat normal mode without dying. I don't want to have to use a continue for normal mode, okay? Like, I can beat easy, no problem, but normal, I'm struggling with a little bit, I won't lie. And that should give you an idea of kind of my relative skill level at Street Fighter.
So it has the same, like, things that every other Street Fighter has. Like, you have your counters, like your high and low, mid counters.
Well, yes and no. There aren't actual counter attacks, although I have done, like, a reversal, I think it was once. though I'm not quite sure how I did it. Really, the main systems in it are combos and the super meter, because it's the super version, which that was added in one of the later versions. So you can use like the Shinku Hadouken and stuff like that, like super beam one.
Can you like cancel out of combos and then like fake out your enemies?
I don't know. I don't think so. I'll be honest. I'm not really a competitive Street Fighter player. I'm really more of like a, couch side by side kind of guy. But I think you can do some canceling. I think it depends on the moves and the character you're playing as. To be honest, I'm not quite skilled enough at Street Fighter to be able to answer, but it does seem like it does feel like it has all of the primary features that I expect from a fighting game. So
okay, yeah, it's weird because like when I spent my days practicing to get good before get good was a thing, my main practice was doing cancels and then jumping into other combos after somebody overreaches in an attack.
Sure. I'm still at the point right now. I mean, I'm playing it pretty casually. I play it like while my videos upload or on the train and stuff like that. So I'm not really at the peak of my game. But my thing is more like memorizing every character's special attacks right now, making sure that I'm blocking consistently because I have a habit of just jumping in again and again and getting my ass handed to me. And also trying to figure out, God, I hate the inputs for some of the specials, trying to get good at doing them consistently. Like, for fuck's sake, I don't know why, but in Street Fighter, like, there are so many specials that require you to push back and then forward, but you can't just rock left then right. You have to, like, hold back for like a good 2.5 seconds before you can complete the combo. And it's insane to me because it's like, you know how I can do a quarter circle punch in about 1/10 of a second? It takes entirely too long to do a back and then forward special. That to me seems a little unfair, but maybe I'm doing it wrong. It was very frustrating for me when I was trying to learn some of the other characters besides the Ryu moveset ones. That said, there are plenty of other modes to play as well if arcade mode is not your dish. They've got training mode, which unfortunately isn't a true tutorial mode for like fighting games. I still am waiting for a really good one of those for Street Fighter where like they'll like say do the combo on the screen and like teach you how to do like, you know, like you were saying, cancels and stuff like that. I would love a tutorial like that, but unfortunately this is just a general training mode. However, it does feature the ability, both arcade mode and training mode, I think really all of the modes except for one that I'll talk about later, allow you to queue for matchmaking online while you're doing them. So I can like start up an arcade mode and it'll matchmake me online and do like the new challenger approaches thing. You fight your matches, and then it'll put you back into arcade mode where you left off, which is pretty cool. And nice, so you don't have to just like sit there waiting for a match. Although, in my experience, the matchmaking is pretty fast. Seems like it's like 30 seconds to a minute to get into a match. Not too bad.
That's not too bad, yeah.
Or to find someone, rather. Getting into the match is no time at all. At this point,
with me playing Titanfall, anything that's not like 10 minutes is not bad.
No kidding. Exactly. Also, as far as multiplayer goes, they've added in a co-op mode, which is crazy. You can play through the arcade with a friend, locally or online, split screen or with 2 switches. And it's both of you fighting against the AIs. It's really weird. I've never heard of that, but it's neat. Brandon and I are going to have to try it out maybe over the weekend.
So that kind of was my first question, was what's the advantage of the Switch? Is it literally just that you can like pick up and play? Or is there something else unique to this?
Well, first of all, I have like the best version of Street Fighter now on handheld as well as console, which is pretty big in and of itself to me. Plus, it's got an active online player base, which is pretty big to me as well, because I'm not really sure where else I could have gone for Street Fighter 2 matches.
Right.
That said, well, yes, and that said, it does have one more mode that I was about to talk about that kind of gets to that point. Because it is a Switch-only mode. You could only do it with the Switch, but it's also maybe the worst mode. So the big thing that got me to spend the extra money was I saw that there was some kind of first-person Street Fighter mode in this. And what it is there's something called Way of the Hadouken, and what it is a VR-style first-person Ryu minigame where waves of enemies slowly move up, like they move up like one row at a time towards you. They're just ever approaching you. And you can Shoryuken with motion controls, Hadouken with motion controls, or do I can't remember what it's called, the spinning kick. It's like Senpoketsu or something like that. Sentetsu, or I can't remember. But you can do the spinning, like, windmill kick thing. And so, I don't know. It's the like, actual detection of the motions that you do is pretty terrible. I have to say, the motion controls on the Switch have been really disappointing. Zelda did it okay, but they're vastly inferior to the Wii U and possibly inferior to the Wii. Definitely inferior to the Wii Motion Plus, but possibly even inferior to the just regular Wiimote. Like, I don't know. I was really, really struggling. Like, I couldn't get it to consistently do anything except for Hadoukens, and I could get it to Hadouken by just, like, waving one of my arms in front of me. So, I don't know. It's kind of a dumb, tacked-on mode, but it is what it is. It's kind of fun. It makes your forearms hurt after you've Hadoukened 400 times in 20 minutes.
I call that stamina, Henry.
Right, no kidding. Yeah, I don't want to brag, you guys. I've been getting some awesome tricep workouts.
And they show up and Henry, like,
arm day, bro. Hadoukens.
Just practicing.
You get, like, the core.
Exactly. Just practicing the all Hadoukens. Bro, do you even Hadouken?
Oh, God.
I just want to see some guy in a gym that's, like, super jacked. Just say that with a straight face.
It's just like a guy, like, just doing, like, ghost punches at the mirror, looking at himself, and get a little closer and see he's got 2 Joy-Cons in his hands.
Yeah, that would just be the best.
So, side note, come on with that name, Nintendo. It sounds like a sex toy. I'm sorry, Joy-Con, like, ugh. It's like Wii U. Like, who comes up with these fucking names? I swear to God. Nintendo's, like, one of Nintendo's worst enemies is whoever its marketing department. Like, goddamn. Anyways, though.
All time I was the rabbit. I was like, what the hell is a rabbit? And apparently that's a sex toy. I was like, oh, God, that's weird. I don't understand.
All right. Steering back to video games. Yeah, so
it ruined a lot of things for me, guys. That's all I'm saying.
Overall, it's a lot of fun, and frankly, considering that I was looking for kind of a good classic fighting game that I could fall back on, this is, I think, to me at least, worth it for $40. It is really pricey for like a 30-year-old game, but between online play with decent matchmaking and the fact that when there's lag in that, the latency feels shared. It doesn't feel like they're moving at full speed and I'm like glitching out or whatever. And the addition of the co-op mode, and even though it's tacked on this way of the Hadouken, plus 2 characters I've never played as before and access to my boy Akuma, like, I think it was money well spent. I don't regret it. And that's even considering that the humble spring sale obviously already had hit my wallet pretty hard, and I still decided to shell out that $40, and I don't regret it. So yeah, if you guys are, it's probably never ever going to go on sale because it's on a Nintendo console, but if you guys are interested in playing some Street Fighter 2, this to me seems like the version to play.
Nice.
Heck yeah. All right, Tom, tell us about another super original game that you've never talked about on the show before, please.
Yeah, I'm
waiting for you to just like pull some game that we've never heard of out of your ass. And
one of these days, did I tell you this? So unfortunately, I couldn't come on the show the first time after I bought Prey. And I apologize if I said this before, but I was going to put something ridiculous like BMX Triple X.
Dude, you could just like play a bad game. Like you can come on and tell us like how you thought No Man's Sky was, or like,
right?
I don't know, The Revolution. What was that one game?
Yeah, Homefront.
Really bad shooter.
Homefront.
Yeah, Homefront: The Revolution. You can just come on and be like, "Hey, I played this." And we're like, "Oh, that's a trash game. How'd you like it?" You know, we might have a different perspective when you're done. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just shake it up, man. Get a life in the party. You gotta shake it up.
Anyways, I've been playing this game that I call Stone. Henry, I noticed I put in the outline, I called it Stone. And Henry switched it to Hearthstone.
I'm going to add a goddamn new auto change to the dictionary for Google Docs so that when you type in Stone, it automatically changes it to Hearthstone.
The next time I see that, I'm literally going to steal a car, drive to your house, and kick you in the balls.
God damn it. Stop trying to abbreviate 2-syllable words, Tom. Stop it. They will never catch on as Stone.
Yo, I played some Red today. I played Dead Redemption.
I feel like knowing Tom, he would not go for the obvious Red. He would go for, man, I've been rocking out all week.
Yep.
My God.
Know that seriously, dead serious. This is 100% factual. In high school, we called Halo low.
Get out. You're off.
I'm done.
Cut his mic. Cut his mic.
I'm going to leave the rest of this to you.
Who's running this thing? Get him out of here.
Henry, I need some time.
This is also going a layer deeper. Going a layer
something. That's all I got to
say.
Be
careful, man, because I don't know how much more of that shit I can take.
This is the final one. This is the final one.
Low.
Low. Getting low, dude. So if you were to shoot a bullet out of a sniper rifle into someone's head, we'd call that kniping.
What? Okay, I'm out.
This is 100% fact-based. I'm not the only one that did this. This is a trend that I caught on to, and I'm forever grateful that I did. I've saved myself a lot of breath.
Okay.
I'm back. No, that was me. I had to go for a walk.
To be fair, like when I was playing Halo and back in the day when I was playing...
No, do not validate him. Just stop.
No, I'm not validating. I did come up with crazy nicknames for stuff like... But they were not one-syllable words. Like, the shotgun was really weird in...
What? Kniping? You're not even cutting a syllable. You're cutting a letter.
Adding, dude.
I used to have
I'm so irrationally angry right now.
Oh, it's so funny. I used to have three names for too. Like if I did like a headshot, it would be a face clap. If it was
listen, that's clever nicknames. That's not just being so lazy. You drop the s from sniper.
My two personal favorites was shotgun shenanigans, because like in some old shooters, the shotgun would either devastate or just not work at all.
That sounds like the shotgun shenanigans. It's like a kill streak with shotguns.
Hit an enemy with a shotgun, and they would just go out, and then the next shot, it'd just be nothing at point blank range, and I'm just like, and you would die, and I'd be like, shotgun shenanigans. And my favorite one that was actually from Halo was when you first played the Flood and first got the shotgun. When you started playing the Flood, and you could just dome people. Just one shot him. Every time we would do that, when I would play in co-op with my cousin, one of us would have to say, we'd shoot him, be like, bam, what the hell you think this is? Def Comedy Jam? Every time.
What the fuck?
I don't know why we did that.
Okay. I'm going to just wrangle this show and pull it back towards the game formerly known as Hearthstone.
Bro, you're proceeding to generate content for you right now. That's all I'm saying.
I'm proceeding to generate some semblance of an outline for the show. Come on.
Yeah,
all right, tell us about Hearthstone, Tom.
Getting back to Hearthstone, which I've always called Hearthstone. I'll be honest. Sorry, I'm done.
Oh my god.
I would say this is my most successful season yet. I should have ridden the Shaman. I play the Shaman quest deck a lot. I should have ridden that one more.
He's still a Murloc bitch, is what he's saying.
I did do this, and I have an aggro pirate warrior deck that I stole almost directly from one Henry Bell. I have a beast deck that if I got the quest, it would be sweet, but it's kind of held back. But I have a mid-range beast deck, hunter beast deck that is successful, and I think I figured out my minion overload. Druid. So I'm starting to pick up a little versatility here.
I love these like non-existent names you're coining these decks with. It's kind of killing me over here.
Mid-range. I found these out.
Mid-range hunter is real. Mid-range beast is not, but that's okay. Sorry. And also, what did you just call your?
I'm just going to defer to you on this one, Henry.
Minion overload zoo. So
I think you mean token druid is what you're trying to say.
Well, so my druid's got a lot going on. It's got a little bit of it's got a little bit of the little things that each time you add them to the board, they get stronger.
Jade golems.
Jade golems. Yep. And then I just fill the board with other minions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is that a token?
Would you call them tokens?
Maybe.
Are you putting minions into play that don't all come directly from like one card for one minion?
Oh yeah.
Then it's a token druid deck. Congratulations! Like if you're running stuff like Gift of the Wild or what's it called? Stampede, is it? What's the one that gives, or Enrage or something? It gives like +2/+0 to all your minions.
So the problem is I should split these up. I should have a Jade Golem deck, and I should have a...
Actually, you're
what's
wrong.
The guy with choose one?
Token Druid is excellent. Oh, yes, you're right. I'm sorry. I forgot. You're still doing the weird...
yeah,
I was going to say...
I want to make this work. I need to split them up, but I'm refusing to.
You really should. I get it. You want to do Jade Druid and eat your cake too, but listen, just like pick one. Like you already can do. You can already do Fandral with Jade Druid. You just can't also do tokens.
Yeah, no. So I need my Druid game. It's got to get better. I'm trying to think of the other ones. My Priest Dragon is solid. What I'm saying is I'm getting like a deck. I'm working closer to having 1 or 2 decks per like character or whatever that or per class should say.
Nice. Yeah, I'm kind of in a similar boat. I gotta keep talking, but I'm gonna pull up my deck list here so I can.
I got a budget Warlock. I got to figure out how to make my Draxus one work. It kind of works in Wild, but it's not good for Standard.
The problem with basing a deck around Draxus is that sentence.
What? Oh, Draxus?
Well, trying to base a deck around Draxus. He's just like, to me, Draxus is icing on the cake, not the basis of a deck.
No, and I guess it's actually Cruel is probably the one I'm actually playing towards. Like I'm trying to get demons in my hand so I can drop them all on the guy at once. I'm figured that one out. I'm trying to think what other classes there are. Paladin.
I could tell you.
Paladin. So what switches between Standard? I actually have a lot more success with just this Paladin deck where you drop them the little soldiers. Rather than Murlocs. My Murloc used to be strong for a while, and it's better in Standard or better in Wild than it is in Standard.
Really? That's interesting. Are there some Murlocs you use that are banned in Standard play now?
Yeah, it must be that. And I also...
Or are you just saying the deck isn't as competitive against the current meta?
Yeah, I think that's more than anything. And I think Reno actually helps that deck because I can kind of like...
Oh, yeah, so it is banned cards, definitely. It's a one of everything. Yeah. Like that whole deck is based around Reno, presumably.
Yeah, so I mean, I've started to move some to like I have a Warlock, the one with Draxus in it. I've been doing Wild. I've been doing Wild with the Murloc Paladins, but I don't know. I like the new Standard, the new meta. It gets a lot better.
I'm on the fence about it. I finally caught up as well. I've got like. Let's see, I got my Pirate Warrior, Quest Rogue, Token Druid. I got a Zoolock, that's a lot of fun. My Evolve Shaman, which may be my favorite deck. And then also my Silence Priest and my Elemental Mage. Like, I have a bunch of competitive decks. Of those, I'd say 2 are excellent, like 4 are good, and the other 2 are okay. But, like, I don't know. Like, I'm finding that the decks perform very inconsistently, and that bothers me somewhat. Like... It's almost like there's a weird anti-meta going on during the current meta, and it feels like there are certain matchups that you just can't win with certain decks. And I know that that's always sort of been true, but it feels almost like there's certain decks that just can't win no matter what against certain classes. Like, there are a lot of really big aggro decks right now that if you come up against, like, a Control Priest or a Control Mage, you might as well just concede. Because... they have decks now that are literally they have like 4 creatures in the deck and the rest is just control for the whole game. And it's like it's not fun to play. I'm sorry, I don't think a game of Hearthstone should last over 10 minutes. I think it gets boring. I think it's lame. I often concede matches when I'm like halfway through a Priest game and they heal themselves for 20. Even if I'm ahead, I'm like, fuck this. I could win 3 matches in the time it's going to take to finish this one. Like, I don't know. I
think that's the direction they're going.
Well, I disagree. Like, for the most part, almost every successful deck in the meta right now is fast. It's aggro. You know, the Hunter is aggro. Shaman is aggro. Let's see. Priest is arguably aggro if you play Silence Priest, which I do.
So, just a quick question. So, which type of deck would you say would take the longest to play?
Priest. It's in particular the Priest Quest, because the Priest Quest is based around... trying to win the race of playing 8 creatures with Death Rattle before your opponent gets you down to 0, and then once it triggers, you get a minion that sets your health back up 10 above the starting health to 40. So
the other one that's really long, I've been trying to figure out what to do with Mage, and I probably have to split up.
Really?
Yeah, because like I have the quest, and I probably should not have gotten the quest. I should have I created the quest. I should have created the quest for the beast.
Sorry, you're saying you're having trouble winning as mage, not against mage.
Yes.
Got it. Yeah, I don't know. The mage one seems kind of fun because it's just a variation of tempo mage, but yeah, it seems like it's very, very, very luck based, which is
I'm not a fan. I should have created the beast one. My beast deck would be really good, but regardless, the point is the one I have trouble against is secret mage. Because that thing just screws my Murlocs. Dude, it just screws the Murlocs.
I won the match this morning, but I got so fucking angry at this secret mage I was playing against on the train today. He played Frost Nova, Blizzard, Frost Nova, Ice Block, Ice Barrier. Then he discovered another Ice Barrier. Then he discovered a third Blizzard. And then he finished it out with a third Ice Barrier.
Maybe he was just really hot.
Brandon, here's the thing. I know. Brandon, here's something you may not...
has that much ice.
Here's what you may not realize, Brandon. You're limited to 2 of a copy of a card per deck. But because he was pulling cards that were discover a random mage card, he was getting additional copies of some of the most annoying cards in the game. In case you don't know, all those cards freeze all of my minions till the next turn, which means it's an entire round I can't attack. I had 8 or 9 turns in a row that I couldn't attack with a full board of minions just ready to go. It was infuriating. Thank goodness I was playing as my shaman, which never, ever, 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 Evolve Shaman never runs out of cards. It's insane. It's just totems and tokens and then evolve everything. Oh, God. If you guys haven't played, or rather, I guess, Tom, if you haven't played Evolve Shaman, check it out because it is super fun. It's all based around playing a bunch of token-sized minions or a couple of doppelgangers, which are 5 mana. It's a 5 mana card that plays 3 2/2s, and Evolve is a 1 mana. Replace all your minions with minions that cost 1 more.
Yeah, I know a streamer. My friend's brother runs that all the time.
It's super fun. I've been thinking about seeing if I can add Devolve into it too, just because I think it would be cute to have an Devolve deck.
Devolve's another one that just screws my Murlocs. It just
I know, I love it. Yeah, or what else screws your Murlocs? Me running 2 Maelstrom portals and 2 lightning storms in my shaman deck.
No good. It's no good. I'll have to play again. I got some more versatility. I've got a little more experience under the old belt.
Yeah, and you'll probably do better because my decks are a little, on average, probably a little worse than last time we played, just because last time I had 2 decks.
Right.
Yeah, so we will. Maybe we can play some later tonight or something.
We'll figure something out.
All right. Well, Hearthstone. It's great. Yeah, the season was fun. What was your final rank?
14. Like I said, I'm pushing for higher next round.
Hey, for what it's worth, I only got 15, but I did spend, last season I actually tried and got 11, but this season I was focusing on doing tutorial videos and deck building videos on my channel rather than just trying to see how high our rank was. So accidentally got rank 15, which isn't terrible, but certainly not as good as last month.
I'm going for 10. I'm going to give the people that. I'm going for 10, boys.
Oh, shit. I got to beat you to it now. It's on.
It's on like Doggy Kong.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, there is one other game I think Brandon wanted to talk about here briefly before we go into the news. And Brandon, you want to take 5 minutes here and chat with us a little bit?
Yeah. So the last game I played was a game that kind of flew under my radar, released late last year, called Thumper.
Oh, yeah. Didn't this just come out for Switch, actually?
Yep, it just came out. That's actually where I got the idea to pick it up. So I took a look at it and played it, and then when I was done, I was confused because I liked it, but I still don't exactly know what it is. It's coined as a rhythm violence game, which is definitively not a genre.
Yeah, fill me in here, because I looked at it and it looked like Audio Surf, but from the videos, it didn't look like Audio Surf, because it looked like you didn't actually control that much. I was trying to figure out, what are you
I was watching
what
videos
are you doing?
How are you doing things in this game?
What is the player's role in this game? Because you're not really controlling the vehicle, are you?
You are, but you're not making it go faster or slower. You're controlling specific actions it can do. So you're basically on a single track that sometimes can split into 3 or 4 like aligned tracks and then kind of go back into another track. And your goal is to defeat the enemies. And the enemies can be anything from like a bar, which is very similar to audio surf, where you have to hit the bar to, generate a beat.
Sure.
Or like some sticks, like some like laser sticks that go across this track that you just have to like turtle up and hit. And then like curves that you have to like turn your body to. It's so weird to describe.
I get what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah. You have to turn at a specific moment. It's kind of like, it's rhythm-based button mashing, I guess you could define it. Like, you have to hit...
I mean, it's a music game, really, right?
Yeah, it's a music game similar to Audio Surf, but there's multiple actions that you have to do. Some of them are beat-based, some of them are time-based. For example, like, one of the things, like the bars, you don't have to hit them on beat, you just have to hit them while in a certain mode, which is the turtle mode. You have like 4 actions that you can do. You can turn left and turn right, which allows you to like kind of jump between different sides of this track, depending in the higher levels. Mm-hmm. You can turtle up, which basically you literally go into your shell because you're not a car, you're a ladybug that's chromed out like crazy.
That's
and
interesting.
When you turtle up like that, that allows you to hit like those bars that are crossing the track, as well as turn into curves with like walls next to them. You turn into the walls and you grind these walls, and that's
Weird.
how you get points.
This sounds like a really interesting game. Just for those who still don't have like a great picture in their head, it's a single track based audio surf looking game where it's like you're playing through a bad acid trip that's set to the music that is playing.
Yeah, I feel like
it's more. I feel like it's weird calling it rhythm violence. I feel like is a bad description. It's like a weird like high score based music game, really.
Yeah, it's weird. There is story. I just made it up. The story is basically you were a ladybug in like the 1930s, and you were killed by one of Tesla's experiments, and you were transported to another galaxy that's based off of binary code. And you're trying to find your way home by following the digital trail of your existence.
There you go.
But you are constantly being assaulted by various bit code that's governed by a huge AI gone mad by its very existence.
You mean Aku, right?
Actually, kind of, sort of.
I saw it. I'm pretty sure it's the thing
in this game that looks remarkably like him.
That's what I was referring to. I saw it in the video and was like, Samurai Jack?
Yeah. And it's so weird. And the only weakness that the final boss has is dank beats.
Hell yes.
It's like,
what an interesting game.
From an art form, from a visual perspective, this game is just straight up beautiful. And it's so funny because when I downloaded it, it was like not even a quarter gig. And I'm like, how the hell is this game so small and looks so good?
Nice. Well, we are running super short on time, so final thoughts on Thumper?
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't know. Because
it's the kind of thing that
I don't know how to suggest something that doesn't have what I would define as
good reviews.
Me and Henry were saying, is it a racing game? I don't know.
Let me get a word in here. I'm just trying to jump in. It's like the worst double dutch ever. I feel like if you want to know if this is up your alley, you should just go to the Steam page and watch a couple videos of it, because it's going to do better justice in 10 seconds of video gameplay than we could do in an hour of discussion. It's really like, if it grabs you, you'll know. Like, it's the kind of thing I saw it and I was like, okay, I'm probably going to pick this up. And I think Brandon felt the same way.
Yeah, and after finishing the game and coming up with a position, it ultimately came to me, it's like, what is this? It kind of reminds me of Audio Surf. What is Audio Surf? What's going on here? What is life? I don't understand. So I can't suggest or not suggest it. It's so hard to have an opinion on a game that doesn't really fit any category. But I like it.
Nice.
And for $20, it's really not that bad,
cool.
Honestly.
Yeah, maybe I'll probably pick it up on Switch, so I'll let you guys know how it runs on there in the future. But for now, yeah, definitely check it out.
Yeah.
Moving right along here, because we have about 10 minutes left in the show and we have 3 news stories to cover. Let's get things started, or get the ball rolling with this Riot news. Kind of interesting on the heels of all of our discussion with Trevor last week regarding the Overwatch League. Riot has officially announced they're going to be changing the North American the North American League that has previously existed for League of Legends, and shift it to more of a traditional sports medium a la the Overwatch League. They are looking for, similar to the Overwatch League as well, they're looking for $10 million per team to buy in, and there are 10 slots. And basically there would be 10 established teams with guaranteed slots, and what they've discussed is that after, theoretically, if maybe a team finishes in 9th or 10th place 5 times over a 4-year period, they would lose their seat and someone else could come up. Thoughts on this?
Actually, do have one quick question.
Yo.
What does this mean for grassroots teams?
Yeah, that's kind of the whole thing, really, isn't it? That's kind of my point that I was making last week, too, is like, League of Legends in particular has featured some really great underdog stories of like groups of friends who have gotten together, like Cloud9, hello, like groups of friends who have gotten together and just dominated a game because they could, you know? And the idea that you need $10 million to buy in one of only 10 slots for a 5-man team, like that seems kind of crazy to me. Like that just feels like, I mean, I'm happy to see things like player salary would start at a minimum of $75,000 a year, but I would hope that it would be a hell of a lot more than that considering a $10 million buy-in. Like, I just don't, and this also feels really weird. Like, Tom, what's your reaction to North America having 10 teams?
I mean, my reaction is kind of similar to just the overall one. They are running it like a sports league, and I think that
But is this like a sports league? The creator of the game, again, is the one like with their hands in it, and they're taking costs directly from, like, we're paying Riot $10 million. I guess they host the tournament, but I feel like this is less like traditional sports and more like if the Super Bowl had a $10 million buy-in per team.
No, and that's fair. I guess my broader point here is it's kind of like a sports league without minor leagues, and that's where you could probably cultivate a kind of this grassroots effort, right? I mean, eventually, and I think Trevor touched on this in the last episode, like they're going to have, all of these leagues are going to have some system, just like you have in baseball, where you start in the rookie league and you go AA majors.
But
like,
do they? How is it ever going to be a meritocracy with this type of a system? How do you get discovered when you play in your mom's basement in high school? Or how do you get discovered if you're, a mid-20-something who plays after work in your apartment? Like, how do you scout players like that? I mean, I guess you can look at stats and stuff, but that's just like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it, though, is if there's money in it, and this would suggest there is, I understand it's because there's a $10 million buy-in, but I got to imagine there's sponsors and there's live audience and there's, there's revenue streams.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth noting League of Legends is the highest grossing of all esports by far.
So what I'd say is if you created a sound system, you would do, I mean, not unlike what the Twins did. How do you find a player in Baxley, Georgia, which is, like in between Jacksonville and Atlanta? It's because there's an incentive to find a guy who's really good. If there are teams...
So you have to be found, though? Isn't that by definition, like, exclusionary? Yeah, and doesn't that just encourage nepotistic behavior?
My point is if you had a minor league program and you had a place to go, you said, look, you have to start here. And then that, again, it's not going to be as much audience as you would have at the highest level. But if you're really good, I mean, it shouldn't be, unlike, I just know the Hearthstone system better. Like, if you're a rank 3, you would think no matter where you're from, someone's going to go, well, okay, that kid has to be good. It's like,
but
if you have
thousands and thousands of people are rank 3.
Right. So what I'm saying is, like, if you had a system, there should be, I mean, to me, this seems like baseball just comes to mind immediately, but I mean, I think all sports are kind of like this. You have to have some sort of system saying this is pitting the best people against each other. And how do you create that funnel where you?
How do you even find the best people with this system, though? Is kind of what I'm getting at. Is like,
right. So what I'm saying is they're running it like a professional sports league without a minor league system, and I think that's
without the infrastructure of a professional sports league or the existing like culture.
It seems like it's half there. You know what I mean?
To me, this seems almost like a rejection of the existing culture.
And that you could speak to more than me. What I'm saying is if you had a good system, what it would do is it would allow everyone to enter at the bottom, right? Mm-hmm. And then as you get more and more attention, hopefully it would be sponsors and whatnot putting together the bid for that $10 million to get into the main league.
I think the best stories in esports have always been the surprise 14-year-old StarCraft champion who can't even play in America because he's too young to get a visa, or the amazing, this guy's way past his prime, but he came in and he proved he still got it even though he's been performing very poorly traditionally. He came in and swept the tournament, and how are we going to get underdogs in a 10-team league with 5 players on each team? It just seems, I don't know, especially considering how big these tournaments have been in previous years with qualifiers and stuff. This is a huge cutback with a huge increase in buy-in, which is just odd to me.
Yeah, and like I said, you can speak more to the culture. I agree. The underdog story is always best. You also just want the best players available to the largest audience, right?
Well,
I mean, that's just generally speaking.
And the benefit of sports teams is that the teams are local. Here's the thing. If there's only 10 teams for fucking North America, that's Mexico and, that's Mexico, the United States, and Canada. And I forgive me if I'm forgetting anyone else here off the top of my head. But point being, that's 3 large countries that have they each get 3? Maybe America gets a 4th? What am I supposed to be? The northeastern 5 people represent the northeastern United States or something? That just seems shitty.
I mean, my immediate thought would be it'd be Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, New York, LA, Chicago, Dallas.
That seems like shit to me. That seems really lame.
Well, and it just seems like you're not capitalizing on certain markets.
Well, do you know who you're missing out on there? That's kind of funny to me. Is you're missing out on the cities where the winning, some of the best teams in sports come from. Where's Wisconsin and Massachusetts in that list?
Right. I mean, I would think Boston would be in the running, and certainly San Francisco and Silicon Valley or whatever. But the Bay Area.
Oh, there will be a California location, probably. I mean, I'd be shocked if there wasn't.
My guess is they'll have 2. My guess is LA and the Bay Area would have one.
But there's only 10 for the continent, Tom.
Right. I'm saying.
How can they give California 2? But that's kind of what it comes down to. Is we could argue about this for hours. Is how in the hell do you divide that up? Yeah, how do you get representative players? How do you avoid nepotism? How do you age out old players when tournament performance is so inconsistent? It's just, I don't know. I'm glad for the guaranteed salaries and stuff, and I like the idea of an established league. You guys know I like the idea of established teams and all that. I don't even necessarily have a problem with a $10 million buy-in with League nearly as much as I do with Overwatch, because with League championships, you actually could pay that buy-in. They have $7-8 million prize pools. So with League, the buy-in doesn't even bother me particularly. It's the size of the league and the fact that it's all of North America that rubs me the wrong way the most. That and the fact that it feels very prohibitive to startup teams. And I don't think that these minor leagues like we're seeing in Overwatch are going to be a solution that's as good as what we had now.
I think
this is going to be... Sorry, I was just one last thing. I feel like all these changes to esports are more about pulling more profits from esports and not about making esports better, and that is concerning to me.
I think that's completely dead on. I think if the goal is a 30-team, 30 pro team, if you will, league, plus a minor league system, if this is really the best direction for that, I'm all for it. If it's literally just only short-sighted, trying to get as much profit as you can right away, I do think this will fold on itself. There's just too much entertainment out there, and bad business at the end of the day will kind of bite in the old butt.
Sure. One last thing I just want to highlight about this before we move on is, well, I guess two things. Is one, Riot is a Chinese company, and only the North American League is being worked on right now. They're not changing any of the other tournaments in the world, which is really interesting. For the second reason that I was going to mention, which is North America has never been even close to the best League of Legends players. It's really odd that they would choose to center it here. Maybe it's because there's a lot of money for that here, or interest for that here right now with the Overwatch League and stuff, but you'd think they'd go to Europe or like Korea or China for developing this kind of a tournament. Maybe it's because we have traditional, but Europe, I mean, with their soccer and stuff, they absolutely have the same infrastructure. So I don't quite understand the choice of North America for both of those reasons.
The only thing I can think of, and I doubt this is the case, is proximity. I understand this would be coast-coast, but I guess you could split it 5-5, like have kind of one East Coast and one West Coast based. But otherwise, it's a really good point.
It's just interesting we're not seeing like a European league as well. But yeah, that's very interesting. We'll be continuing to cover this because esports have really started booking along this year, and it feels like we might finally start seeing some leagues, soon, which is exciting.
Yeah, completely.
Hell yeah, I can't wait to see a professional game at Target Field.
It'll be fun.
Indeed. However, for now, we need to keep things moving, and talk really briefly about the hilarious Vanquish PC glitch. So this has been patched as of yesterday, but this was true all this week, and presumably, Brandon, this affected you without you realizing it.
Honestly, I wasn't noticing. I was dying and doing awesome things.
Right. So this is interesting. We've talked about this in the past where for some fucking reason game developers tie random ass mechanics to your frame rate. Well, Vanquish has tied the rate at which you take damage to frame rate. Meaning, if you run the game over 30 frames per second, up to a threshold of 60 frames per second, you take a multiplier of increased damage. If that doesn't make much sense to you, the idea would be you could stand taking fire from all directions for, let's say, 5-6 seconds, normally at 30 frames per second. At 60, maybe a second and a half.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. It seems they're punishing someone with a better machine, basically.
Well, it's not deliberate. This is poor porting and poor design in the first place. This is fucking developers. Don't tie frame rate to, any of that. It's like, it reminds me of when frame rate was tied to clock speed. This is one of my favorite stories. It's really quick. One of the first games I ever bought for my PC was Mega Man, I think, 2, which I got at a Scholastic book fair way back in the day. And it was such an old game that it came on a floppy disk and on paper floppies. That's right. So I had to install it off the floppy disk because I didn't have a paper floppy drive. And I got it all installed, and it was probably 10 years old at the time. Got it all installed, booted it up, loaded into the game, and I noticed, that's weird, the music is playing really fast. Tapped right on my directional keys, and Mega Man went flying 5 screens to the right and exploded in about a quarter of a second. The problem was the game's run speed was tied to the clock speed of my computer. And so since my computer was so much faster than computers at the time, the game could not handle it. And so I just never could play that version of the game. I ended up getting a port of it much later.
Speaking of which,
yeah,
if you want to hear some
make it real quick because we're already over our time.
Yeah, when that game was actually new, the computers actually had turbo buttons that actually slowed down the clock speed of your CPU so you could play it without that happening.
Yes, classic.
They had a turbo button that slowed down your computer.
Exactly. Hilarious. I love it.
The weirdest thing I've ever heard in my life. But yeah, pretty interesting stuff. I've definitely used it at a very young age, about 9 years old when I first got a chance. The first and last time I played with a turbo button.
Hilarious.
But yeah, it's a little interesting caveat that might be related to this.
Definitely. Okay, so one last story this week, and then we are going to let you guys go. And that is that it looks like the Final Fantasy VII remake that we've been waiting so very long for is going to be pushed a little further back. Not an official delay here. However, Square Enix has come out and announced that they are taking over the development side of Final Fantasy VII Remake entirely. Previously, they were doing some external collaboration with CyberConnect 2, who they've done work on like the .hack games and some of those terrible Naruto games. It's interesting. The producer of the producer of Square Enix was quoted in December 2015 as talking about how they were concerned that CyberConnect 2 was not really producing the game in a style that was like fit Square Enix's vision of Final Fantasy. And so there's some speculation that perhaps they pulled it all in-house because they weren't happy with the work of the external developer, though that is only rumor at the moment. But what we do know is that Square Enix is now going to be doing all the rest of this development within their own teams, and it will likely result in a slightly longer release schedule, which is to be expected. That we're already expecting this episodic remake of a 25-year-old game to be not coming out for another 2 years anyways, so. Yeah.
I'm actually going to go with 2020.
Holy shit. I can tell we've run long because you guys just sound like you're sleeping on the other side there, but that's okay.
No, I was actually like really interested because like Final Fantasy is one of the earliest games I played, Final Fantasy VII. So
yeah, definitely. I was just joking. But yeah,
it's just funny because I'm really thinking 2020.
Yeah, I'm not joking when I say 2019, 2020. Definitely. Anyways, though, as I'm sure you can tell, the show has been procedurally generated. We hope you've enjoyed listening. Please be sure to check us out on Zone Coverage and iTunes, where you can leave a rating or review. You can also check out this episode on my YouTube channel. It'll be up tonight. That is Lesser Noob, lesser.n00b, or just search Henry Plays. I've also got a bunch of videos from the current Hearthstone meta and some tutorials on Oxygen Not Included that you can check out. You can also follow us on Twitter at PG_show. Thank you guys so much for listening, and as always, game on.